friends, and welcome to Cast On number 3 of my 12 Cast Ons vlog series. I'm Emily, if you're new here, and I am just so excited. I had so much fun yesterday casting on my circle cardigan. It was just delightful to pull it out of my little container of projects. So I'm going to do the same thing today. I'm just going to pull a project out, and I'll get the yarn, and I'm just going to get it started. And I'm kind of torn. I'm not feeling the best today. This is like day 4 or 5 of something like that, of my kids getting up really early and the baby keeping me up in the night. I think he's going through like a brain growth spurt because he's right on the cusp of starting to really start trying to talk. And so I think whenever my boys have a growth spurt of any kind, whether it's mental or physical, they just stop sleeping. I don't understand. So I'm a little bit out of it, but I have been so excited. It's almost 12, I think. It's like 11:30. And I have just been so looking forward to this all morning. So my husband has the kids outside, so I finally got a free moment. So let's dive into this. That's what I was saying. I'm a little bit tired and out of it. So I can't decide if I want to draw an easy project like a cowl or if I want to draw another sweater project, because that would be fun. So let's see what we get. I'm just going to unfold this one. Yep. Oh, the Ranunculus! Oh, this is perfect. So there's a knitting group that I'm part of, and they're actually doing a Ranunculus knit along for January. I don't think I'm going to get it done by the end of January, which I think is the deadline, but this is going to be so much fun because everybody's been talking about their Ranunculus, and I've been like, oh man, it would be so much fun if I pulled that. So here's the thing with this one though. I'm torn because my thought is that with the yarn that I'm going to be using, it's a tweed yarn, and so I was thinking about doing it with let me backtrack. Knitting the Ranunculus without any of the like lacy texture Ranunculus, main Ranunculus type details, because it's a tweed yarn, so it's not really going to show up. So I was just thinking like a classic simple round neck sweater. So that's one option. The other option is that I am thinking about taking the Owl's chart from the Owl's pattern by Kate Davies and implementing it into the Ranunculus sweater, because both of them are circle yokes patterns. The Owl sweater is bottom up and at a very chunky gauge, and the Ranunculus is top down, which is my preferred method of construction. So I'm going to have a think about that. I know that the Ranunculus starts with casting on the ribbing, and then you work a few rows of that, and then there's some increases, and then it starts the kind of textured lace section. Or they're short rows. So I'll do the short rows and stuff. So I have a little bit of work before I would have to decide, and I need to check and see what the stitch repeat is for the Owl chart. Because I think the part that I would find tricky is figuring out how to put the Owl chart into the Ranunculus with the increase rounds, because I'm pretty sure that the Owl chart is tall enough that it would have a couple increases in the Ranunculus pattern mid chart. So I guess one option would be is I could add some stitches in between each repeat so that when I do the increases, just make sure that they would fall. I have to think about it because I'm kind of torn. Part of me just wants a really simple, basic, cozy, sweatshirty type of a sweater. And the other part of me really, really, really wants to knit the Owl sweater because I have had that saved for, I couldn't tell you how long. It has been in my Ravelry library. So I'm going to go get the yarn. I'll share that with you. And then we're going to get started. Okay. Here's the yarn. This is Windy with Wool, Aran Tweed. It's a 400 gram thing, skein ball, whatever you want to call it. This is in the River colorway. It is 20% wool, 77% premium acrylic, and 3% viscose. It is machine washable and dryable. And yeah, so this is what I'm going to use for it. And the kind of fun thing is I actually have a swatch here using US size 10 or 6.5 millimeter needles that I was swatching for a different sweater. I was trying to sign up for a test knit, and I was seeing if this would work for that. which is kind of cool because then I can kind of see. It's a fairly open gauge, and I'm kind of torn because I feel like doing that would be really nice because it would make sure that with the acrylic yarn, it wouldn't be too heavy. It would be a little bit more open. But I'm a little worried that if it's like stretched, is it going to be see-through? Because yeah, I think if I put my hand behind it, it's not too bad, even when I stretch it. Like, you kind of have to look in order to see the skin tone behind it. So I'm almost tempted to just use the 10.5s. I'd probably go down to a 10. I have technically made 3 ranunculus sweaters before, and I've never done it with a size 10. I've always done it with a size 7 for the ribbing and a size 9 for the main part of the body, and that's a 4.5 millimeter and a 5.5 millimeter needles. That's what I've always done in the past. So I might actually do a 10 or 6 millimeter needle with this one because I do feel like this is a thicker yarn than what I have used previously. Previously I've done a DK weight one, and I've done 2 worsted weight ones, and one was like a cotton linen blend. So yeah, but yeah, I think I'm gonna go down to a 10. I think that's just a little bit too see-through for me. So this is really convenient. I don't have to do any of the swatching and stuff for it. Because if I do a 10 for the body, then I'm going to do an 8 for the ribbing, and we'll just go with that. So yeah, let me see here. There's a little knot in there. I'm so happy. I put this on here because I have 3 different balls, giant balls, 400 grams of this Windy with wool in 3 different colors, and they just take up so much room in my stash. And I want to just go ahead and get them knitted up because I've had them for 2 years now, I think. And getting them out of my stash would just be so amazing. I would have so much more room. So yeah, I'm gonna look at the chart for the owl sweater and see what the stitch repeat is, and then take a look at the ranunculus pattern, which I already have printed out because I've made it before, and see how rapid the increases are, because I can't remember. Because the other part that's really cool about the ranunculus is it's a circular yoke, so it has circular increases, but then after you finish like the lacy textury detail, it has raglan increases underneath of the circular yoke, which makes it such a good fit. So I'm going to take a look at both of the patterns, and we're going to go from there. Okay friends, it's time to finish out this vlog and share with you the progress of my on my third cast on for 12 cast ons. And I will say, so a little, what's the word I'm thinking of? Not inaccurate, but not necessarily the most realistic amount of progress, purely because we went to visit my husband's parents this morning, and we had a 40-hour drive each way, and we were there for a few hours, and I was able to actually knit a good bit while we were there. So this is not my normal amount of progress, but I made a lot of progress on here. Look at that! Do you see the owl? You see the owls? So ridiculously happy with this. This is making me just insanely happy. Just, they're there, and it worked, and my increases and stuff worked, and I'm so pleased. So yeah, this is a Ranunculus, and I was able to plug in the chart from the Owl Sweater by Kate Davies. It was actually really, really easy. So I'm planning to either do a blog post, or I'm gonna probably try and do a Ravelry project page. I don't really do project pages, but just with the adjustments that I've made for this, I think that it could be helpful for other people to know how I did it. So I'm gonna try and do some sort of something with my notes everywhere, and probably in my next podcast video talk about it in a little more detail. I'm not sure, but just quickly, I worked the Ranunculus mostly per pattern. I switched up the short rows just slightly, in that I extended the number of stitches that it has you knit past the German short row. If you're familiar with short rows, you'll know what I mean. Usually when you're doing them, you work a certain number of stitches, turn your work, make a German short row, work back the other way, work a German short row, and back and forth. And then when you're coming back, you knit a certain amount, knit the German short row, and then knit a number of stitches past it. I just extended that number by a couple of stitches, just because in the Ranunculus pattern, it has them very centralized, like right at the center of the back of the neck, and I wanted to kind of spread that around just a little bit. So little tweak on the short rows, but other than that, I followed the pattern for that, and then I worked, I didn't do any of the texture, any of the lace pattern, anything like that, but I worked, I think row 4 is an increase row, so I worked row 4 as written as far as increases. Then I think the next increase row is row 8, if I'm remembering correctly, and so I worked that increase row, and then after I worked that increase row, I started the owl chart, because the numbers of the pattern, I'm trying to figure out how to explain this without giving the patterns away, but basically the owl chart is 10 stitches wide, and the numbers in the Ranunculus are divisible by 10, so it's slotted in beautifully. The one thing you have to remember, you need to flip the chart upside down, because the owl sweater is worked bottom up, and I am of course working top down. And then not only that, I had to remember that I needed to swap the directions that the cables were going. So you know, you have your right leaning cable and your left leaning cable, and so if they're worked in a certain order when you're going bottom up, you need to flip the direction when you're going top down. Hopefully some of that made sense. But I worked that, and then I worked the owl chart as written in the owl sweater until I got to the point where in the Ranunculus sweater I needed to do another increase round. And what I did for that is I actually divided it up and did the increases over 2 separate rows. So I did one row, and I did my increases in this purl stitch section between the owls. So you can see how up at the top here it's narrower, and then down here at the bottom there's more stitches down there. So I did my increases. So I did one round of increase where I did half of the increases that I needed to do, and then I did the second round of I did one round of increases with half the amount of increases. I knit one round in pattern, and then I did the second amount of increases in the following one. And the reason that I split it up like that is because I was only doing increases in these in-between spots, and I didn't want it to have like a weird, like, extreme jog of increases, so I just blended it out a little bit more. It worked like a charm, and I am so pleased with it. it is just looking so cute and I am thrilled. I need to try it on. I am continuing on with the Ranunculus as written now, but I am considering going ahead and omitting the final increase round for the circular yoke and instead going ahead and splitting for the raglan increases, just because I don't want my yoke to end up super duper deep. So yeah, I think if I'm going to try it on and just double check. That's kind of why I paused, and just double check and see, because I think right now it's already good enough that I could do the raglan increases and just leave off that last round of the circular yoke increases. So that's my progress. I'm so happy with it. It is just, it's like I added that first round of cables and then I came and did the second round and I could see the owl heads appearing, and it just, I have wanted to knit this particular owl, I don't know, motif, texture, whatever you would call it, for so long. Seeing it come to life is just, it feels magical. I'm not even kidding, like it really does, and it's just so cute. And I have these tiny little brown buttons that I'm gonna go in and put in here for the eyes. I'm so glad that I'm doing this, finally. I'm super happy to be doing the 12 cast-ons. They gave me the push I needed to get this done. And yeah, I'm just absolutely thrilled with it. So there's my day 3, or my cast on 3. This is, I don't know, day like 10 or something. But this is my 3rd cast on, and that's the progress that I've made. And yeah, I've been putting my stitch markers from my mother-in-law on here. Whoop, there we go, there's 3. And now it's time to sign off here and go start the vlog for day 4, or cast on 4, which I am so happy about. So that's all from me for now. I hope that you've been enjoying this series so far, and I will see you on the next one. Bye!